Hey, how's it going out there today, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great day. Thanks for tuning in to Weekly Recap. I'm your host, Cash. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. Weekly Recap for you new people. I go over my week of operating a semi-truck in the United States every single week, good, bad, and different. Not to brag, not to complain, just data. I love data, collecting data, sharing data. So, this is the week. My strategy is to get a load out of where I live, Minnesota, out and back, like, 1,000, 1,500 miles out, and then come straight back. That's my strategy, rinse and repeat. So let's talk about it. I don't talk about the carrier I'm leased to, and I run a fuel efficient operation. So keep those things in mind. Or I try to run as fuel efficient as possible because that's where the profit's at in trucking, in my opinion. We'll go over these loads. I'll kind of talk about why I did what I did and just kind of general weekly recap. So here, let's get into it. So I got me a load out of Minnesota, one pick, 4 drops, 2 drops Pennsylvania, 1 drop Delaware, 1 drop in Maryland. Good load. Glad I got it. Now, to let you guys know, this load is the week of the BLITZ. Okay, a lot of people take off for the BLITZ, so don't get an illusion that like the last couple weeks rates have went up a little bit. That there's nothing in the economy that says rates should be going up. Now, I wouldn't mind if they did a little bit, but don't get too hopeful because, and I don't want to, pee in anybody's Cheerios here, but keep in mind we're coming through the National DOT Blitz week, and we had a holiday. Okay, anytime you get a federal holiday, especially one where people are going to be spending money, they're going to want to move that freight. They're going to want to get that store stocked, so they're going to pay a little bit more to get those loads moved going in. That's why I work most holidays, because once you get the initial rush of traffic over and done with, the traffic is usually very light for the rest of the weekend. You usually get a decent rate coming into that weekend. So, but this is going into the DOT Blitz week. I know a lot of people took off. Truck stops were sitting full of trucks. Our yard, I went to the yard, I think the Friday before, maybe the Wednesday before, something like that. That thing was already packed. And when I left, it was like no one else had left. So I know a lot of people took off Blitz week, and I took advantage of it. It got me a really good paying load. Let's talk about it. So 37 empty miles to go get this, 1295 total all miles, excuse me, loaded miles, 1332 all miles. And then let's see here, it was 34,000 pounds, and it was negative 10 degrees, and that load paid $5,300. So that was first load of the week, negative 10 degrees as well. I don't know if I said that or not. Let's see. Second load of the week was Maryland back to Minnesota. I do these loads all the time. It's like if I can get them, I want them. They're usually pretty good. This one was negative 10 degrees, 30,000 pounds, and I had 104 empty miles to go get that on 1135 loaded miles for a total of 1239 total miles on that. Now, I did scale that load because that load was, I wanted to talk about this because it's a little bit of a strategy, and I don't know if everybody knows about it, but I think it might help somebody. So if you get a load that's a little bit lighter like that, like a 30,000 pound load, check the product, because if it's one product, if it's a load of freaking, whatever, Pop Tarts, and it's a very uniform load front to back, you're probably pretty good. I always say put the rear tire of the trailer right under the load. Like wherever the load stops, center that tire right below it. And usually you're good to go. You're not going to be breaking any kind of laws with that. But the reason I say check it is because this load here had like 10 different products on it, and they varied in weight. There was some light stuff, there was some heavy stuff, and the load felt like it was pulling heavy. It felt a lot heavier than 30. So I went and scaled it, and I was way heavy to the trailer, because I guess they had put all the heavy product in the back of the trailer and the light product in the front. So I had to slide those axles back, a few pegs to get that thing to level out. So a little strategy there. Don't get caught with your panties down and not checking that, because I've just learned over the years, if it's a mixed product, we probably need to spend the $13 to get it scaled. My truck scale, I got a scale on the truck, but not on the trailer. My truck scale was showing really light, and I was like, they probably put all the heavy stuff toward the back. So I just wanted to spend that $13 to confirm that. That's my take. That scale ticket, especially with the new cat scale app, scaling is not that big a deal to me. I like that. I don't have to go into the truck stop. I literally, you know, pull up on the scale, hit the app. It does everything it needs to do. And then I ride out. And then all I got to do is take the receipt. They email you a receipt, and I put that right in my tax folder for tax purposes. Don't need, because it shows the price of the scale on the scale ticket. You're good to go. Scaled that load. Now let's go over the total week. I made $8,100 for the week. That last load paid $2,800, so I think I might have forgot to say that. 8,100 for the week. That is a great week for me. This is a full 7 days, by the way. This is a complete 7 day week. Started on a Friday, ended on a Thursday, I think, something like that. I'm gonna count it 7 days. So $8,100 total revenue. My 80%, I get 80% of the load. My 80% of gross is 6480, 6480, 2,571 all miles, 141 empty miles on that, 2,430 loaded miles, 5% deadhead. Perfect week as far as miles for me. Of course, now, I'm not, let's be honest. The perfect week for me is driving like 8 miles and making like, 8 grand in revenue. It ain't happening like I want it to. Okay. It just don't happen. I don't get those loads to haul space shuttles or whatever would pay that good, but I do what I have to do. But this right here, for me, pretty good week. Now, I'm not crazy about the 7 days. I like my weeks to be more like 5 or 6. That way I can take a, home time and then come back, rinse and repeat. But when it's this good, I don't care. I'll work the 7 and those, next week be down, because we're making good rate per mile on this. 7 day run, $3.15 all miles, 315 all miles. I love that. 252 is my 80%, 333 a loaded mile. That's damn good loaded miles right there. Thank you, BLITZ week. Thank you for all the drivers that freak out and take off. I'm not saying you're not justified, okay? Because if the DOT wants to write you up for something, they're gonna write you up for something. But I appreciate all you guys taking off for the week and helping the rates a little bit. And then come over here. Let's go over to variable cost. I know I say it wrong. I say it wrong for a reason. It's like a running joke at this point. If you're not in on it, go back and start like 4 years ago when I started doing weekly recaps and watch them. It's just the thing. I've always said it that way. I know it's been wrong. It's just, I don't know, just the way I've always said it. So let's go over to variable cost. 1231 on diesel, 1231. Now, I could have had a really impressive week because I got decent fuel economy, to be honest with you, on this week. But the thing of it is, man, that Illinois fuel on Mudflap right there at the state line has been so good. I almost hate to go home without it buying it. Like, I fill up right there before I go home almost every time now, because it's just so good of a price. I'm getting it like 350 on Mudflap. You take 75 cents of that out. I'm getting fuel for like 275, 280 minus IFTA right there. And not to mention, like, that's the cheapest I can find it. Not to mention, I like buying my fuel in big IFTA states like that when it's right, when the price is right, because come, the end of the quarter, I get a little money back, so ain't nothing wrong with that. So 1231 on diesel fuel, 205 on reefer. Negative 10-degree loads and a multi-stop, and it was pretty warm out. She was running hard there for a while to give it and I'm pulling a 2020 Great Dane with a Carrier 7300 unit on it. So I got a pretty decent trailer, and some of that is in Delaware. I had to spend the night in Delaware, and I couldn't find any like fuel stops, so I had to pull into one of those Royal Farms. I don't have any kind of discounts or anything at Royal Farms, so I just had to pay pump price which wasn't horrible, but still no discount. And that one drained. That one needed a lot of fuel. So a lot of reefer fuel for me for the week. That I'm just trying to explain why. Because normally I'm down like around 100, 150 to go to 205. That's a big one for me. $19 on DEF this particular week. And for you new people, this is what I bought, not necessarily what I used. Okay, just so you know, $489 in tolls. Yeah, that's a lot in tolls. But when you're running Minnesota to the East Coast, it's very hard to avoid the tolls. Now, I know a lot of people, like every time I talk about paying a lot of tolls, they're like, oh, you need to run up to 80 and run 80 across. And I'm like, you don't understand the time limits that I'm on these loads. Like these loads I do, like that load back Maryland to Minnesota, that's literally like 40 hours to go from Maryland to Minnesota. Like it's very squeezed on time. They do not want extra time on that load. So I don't risk any extra time. Most of the time on the ride back on those, I will pay that Indiana toll on the ride back and just pay it. Because I can't afford the time of delays of going around and getting off the toll road. So I pay the tolls. It's just the way it is. $13. I scaled that last load for $13. Variable cost $19.57, $1,957 variable cost. Bring over my $64.80. Subtract out the $19.57 variable cost. And now we're dealing with $4,523. And I took $500 of that to the maintenance account for a $4,023 left for me to do what I have to do. Now, these are the weeks why we do this. A little bit above average, making good money, not working so hard, okay? So for all the people, when I have a bad week that say, I make more than you as a company driver, and I do this, and, that guy that I make more money than you selling oranges down by the freeway exit. And, I mean, I heard some really good ones in there, by the way, last time people, I make more than you doing blah, blah, blah. Kudos, good for you. Like, but this is why I do what I do, because you have some bad weeks, but then you have some good weeks, and it all averages out. You know what I mean? And it's part of being a business owner. I've owned a business since I was 16 years old. I have owned a business. Okay. And I'm not talking about like, picking up cans off the side of the road. I'm talking about getting USDA loans from the government and raising livestock at 16 years old. You know what I mean? Like got to keep your numbers, got to do like legit business at 16. And it's just who I am. Like it's just who I am. I'm not saying I could not go back to being a company driver, because I could. I did it for years. I know how to make it work. But for me, it's about owning your destiny. It's what it is. That's what it is for me. So that's the week. Hope everybody enjoyed weekly recap. If you made it this far, do me a favor. You smash that like button for me and get on that subscribe button. Maybe if you want to see more of these. Like I said, I do one for every week I run the truck. Good, bad, I don't care. If I make $10, if I make $10,000, you're going to know about it. So that's how we do it around here. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care of one another. And remember, people are more important than trucking.
Hi, real quick, I want to talk to you about MyTee products, spelled M-Y-T-E-E. Check out the website for trucking supplies and trucker gear. They got all kind of stuff. They really focus on open deck stuff, but they have stuff for any kind of truck, and I promise you, go check out the website. Lots of chains, straps, toolboxes. Everybody needs toolboxes, things like that, especially for flatbed and car haulers. Check it out. I promise you, you'll like it. Use the link down below when you shop.